Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is the 21st of January, 2021. Coming up in this episode of the Crusty Canuck podcast. More updates, more political blunders, more cancellations, more bullshit, and then some. Stick around.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. Aye, sir. There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
This is the Crusty Canuck podcast, a Canadian veteran's point of view on politics, social, economic issues, and life. Here's Crusty.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, economic issues we are going to have based on the decision of Mr. Joe Biden and his bullshit with the Keystone XL pipeline. I guess has been canceled. So I'm not going to sit and dwell on articles of newsprint and the other media outlets. I'm just going to speak my mind. Come off the top of my head. You know what I'm saying? So here we are in the province of Alberta. We have one of the biggest resources on the planet. One of our biggest cash resources that we can give to the Canadian people to make a lot of Canadians a lot of money so they can live very well. Whether you're an administrative, working the rigs, working the derricks, or just, general labor. You can have a good living working in the oil and gas sector in this country. And yet there's so many powers that be that constantly want to fuck it over for the rest of us. So what does our beloved Prime Minister Potato Head, Mr. Sock Puppet, look at me, I have Thokthon, want to do about it? Absolutely nothing. Of course, 3 or 4 days ago, he sat in the national media and he also fucking said, well, we hope he does the best and we want to work together and get all this done. And now he's just lying back with his legs up, playing dead, right? Just like the rest of the Liberal caucus, NDPers, and all the greenies alike. Yes, I am for the environment, ladies and gentlemen. Don't get me wrong. To my listeners in Canada and worldwide, yes, I am for the environment. I want clean water, clean air, the ability to actually go to a park and camp and enjoy Mother Nature at its finest. But if we have these resources that are going to help numerous people, i.e. heating homes, driving cars, machinery, all that good stuff, then do you not think that we can have the ability to tap into our resources and get it out to market? No, of course not. We have page upon page of government regulation, page upon page of hurt feelings, page upon page of mandates to worry about gender parity, page upon page of mandates to worry about the social impact, environmental impact, based on our 0.06 carbon, 0.60 carbon display, whatever the big terminology is. Anyway, we're pretty low on the scale when it comes to putting carbon into our atmosphere. Even though we all know carbon is plant food, right? It creates flourishment. It feeds the plants so they can do their things like grow and provide crops and all that other good stuff. But then, what do I know? I'm just some cranky fucking veteran. Tell me what you think. CrustyBCanuck67@gmail.com. You can also reach me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and other social media platforms that have yet to be dissected and censored in the name of fairness and equality. And just a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, this podcast is not meant for children. I do drop a lot of bombs, C bombs, all that good stuff. So please, listener discretion is advised. And if you like what you hear and see, by all means, please click like, subscribe, comment. On YouTube, please do not forget to click that notification bell to let you know when new content is up and coming your way. And Podbean as well. Please like, subscribe, share this magical podcast all over the place if you can, please. And if you do want to donate, please follow the links in my description or join the page for $1.99 a month. You can get yourself a subscription to me, hear my voice, see my ugly mug every time I live stream, and I give you accolades properly. That's $1.99 a month, roughly $2. $2 a month you can give to me. So hopefully, if half my subscribers would give that generous amount, I would be on my way to making this podcast a full-time commitment and possibly hire somebody to do some engineering and other stuff in the background. So keep that in mind, folks. Please consider donating today and check out my shop as well, customizedgirl.com /S/Crusty Canuck. T-shirts, hats, stickers, magnets, mugs, swimsuits for the ladies, a patriotic gitch for the gentlemen, and other items to your choosing. So please don't hesitate to donate and check out my store too. So carrying on, more updates. Yes, Mr. Biden canceled the XL pipeline, which would deny opportunities for Canadians and Americans alike. Roughly to the tune of 59,000 people combined would be losing the opportunity to have gainful and successful and meaningful employment, all because there's a handful of environmental so-called fucking know-it-alls who want to tell you and me what's best for us and the environment, and yet half of these fucking people fly around on private jets and private yachts and be driven and catered to at every whim of their fucking lives. So put that in perspective, ladies and gentlemen. To all those individuals that want to support the Tides Foundation and the Make Way Foundation, here's something how you can make way. How about you mind your own goddamn business and live your life to the best of your fucking ability and let others do the same, okay? If you want to get rid of fossil fuels, then please table suggestions on how we can do this together. None of this build back better bullshit or let's build back stronger. How about we work together? There's an idea. There's a fucking idea. We can still use fossil fuels and yet still come up with innovations and ideas on how to prolong our fossil fuels and how to prolong our life, how to prolong the planet, and whatever goddamn theory comes to mind when you think it's going to be doomsday in 12 effing years. Really? Is that the logic? If it's going to be 12 years and then that's the end of us, then what kind of plan isn't put in place? Are you going to build arcs in like that fucking movie 2012? You know, all these arcs are going to be built in fucking the deepest, darkest parts of China to save humanity based on the highest bidder, right? Is that the plan? Or are you just going to abolish something and then hopefully hydroelectricity is going to save the fucking day? Yet what runs a lot of these turbines? Not just water, right? You have backups for some of these turbines too. When people promote the electric car, oh great, electric cars are fan-fucking-tastic. What runs the generators that provide the electricity for your fucking electric cars? It's not panther piss. It's not pixie dust. It's not unicorn farts. Diesel. Where does diesel come from? Great question, you ask. Holy shit. Go figure, right? Again, we have to constantly sit and worry about this whole environmental bullshit catastrophe. I highly suggest, ladies and gentlemen, you look up Dr. Patrick Moore, one of the original founders of Greenpeace, and he has quite the spiel when it comes to environmental problems that we're constantly being told about here. So to all the Greta Thunbergs out there, to all the green revolutionaries out there, especially the Extinction Rebellion, you give me concrete proof on what's going to happen to this world if we use fossil fuels, especially in Canada. I want all the Jane Fondas, all the Harrison Fords, all the DiCaprios, all these Extinction Rebellion yahoos, and I will call them yahoos, not to take Doug Ford's light away, okay? But these so-called fucking know-it-alls who believe the end of the world is coming, and yet what viable solution do you have? I'll wait. Yeah, I see. Okay. So if that's your logical solution, okay. So here's an idea. How about biodiesel, right? Where you take elements of fossil fuels and other elements of vegetable matter and oil, other oils matters, and you combine something that burns less fuel, but you still have fuel efficiency in your truck. You know, there are schematics online you can find and build your own biodiesel little refinery without blowing yourself up. But there's schematics and plans out there. You can do it in yourself. How about self-sufficiency when it comes to creating your own wind energy and your own solar energy or your own battery energy where you can recharge your batteries with minimal effort, right? They don't encourage that because government likes to get a piece of the grid. Government likes to get a piece of what you put into your home. We know the monopoly. We know the scam, right? So all these individuals that want to cancel and produce the so-called fucking utopia, and guess again, because we all know for a fact all these people that make these deals, all these regulators and politicians alike, they get driven around, they get to fly around the country telling us what to do, and yet we can't produce oil in this country. Why? $4.5 billion the federal government spent on buying this pipeline that we'll never get to fucking use, right? How many more billions were spent on virtue and saving the world, right? What are you saving up for? Why is it so important to keep Canadian oil in the ground? I ask you. Why is it so important? I saw a thing on Facebook there from Jason Kenney, the Alberta Premier, and regardless of how many people are getting sick of his shit or backing up his shit or whatever, you can actually see the disappointment and the sadness as he was talking about it. The genuine feeling of disappointment And I'm not talking the disappointment you get when you don't get your favorite sandwich in your lunchbox or get that cool-ass pair of skates you wanted for Christmas. I'm talking the disappointment where, shit, someone is dying and we got to do something to try to keep them alive. You know what I mean? Someone is losing their fucking ability to thrive, and we have to do our best somewhere, somehow, to keep that thriving alive. Yet we can't do it because of regulation, book after book of fucking paper bullshit, right? I suggest too, ladies and gentlemen, if you do get a copy and you do get to see it, watch both Climate Hustles and Planet of Humans. It gives you quite the insight on the racket, and literally, it's just a fucking racket. You know, nobody that I know personally in their right mind wants to dig hole after hole, cut tree after tree, and pollute river after river for the sake of profit. Nobody I know in my life personally wants to do that. And it's safe to assume nobody in your lives want to do that either. And we can live with balance, live with ecology, right? I've seen the so-called tar sands, oil sands, and it's not a filthy dystopia. It's not. Yeah, there's going to be some dirt around. There's going to be some dirt tucked up. There's going to be fucking mess here and mess there, but it's not a big fucking mess like these so-called Hollywood know-it-alls fucking say it is, right? I put a video link in my last description, my last video, in regards to what the BBC did about, I think, 2008, 2009, and the California oil fields, and how devastating that looks. Actually, it does look like something of a Mad Max-themed fucking movie. It does. So take a look at that when you can, ladies and gentlemen. I'll incorporate the link again in my description after this podcast. But it really puts things in perspective. To all these guys who want to cancel this, cancel that. So it's basically a monopoly on Canadian resources. It's a monopoly on our livelihoods, right? And to my friends in Ontario out there and in Quebec and on the East Coast, you guys know that Alberta is getting it up the chuff, eh? Right? And I'll remind those individuals, too, that have weighed into my podcast recently, telling me that, money doesn't come from Alberta, it comes from Ottawa. Where the fuck do you think Ottawa gets it? Okay, I'll say again. In the fiscal year of 2018-2019, Alberta handed over $13.5 billion to La Belle Province in the name of equalization. Okay? And that was also at the height where they couldn't decide whether to build a pipeline or not. And that was just prior to Notley getting defeated out here as the NDP premier and her virtue bullshit when it comes to the environment too. Oh, we don't need a pipeline. We can ship everything by train. Yeah. So for someone who's advocating to have a carbon footprint, you're sure as hell promoting the railways, eh? You're sure as hell promoting that fucking endeavor. Now, how's that paying off? How is that working out for you? Eh? Not too well, is it? Eh? Something to think about, folks. Anyway, here's a word from my sponsors.
In October of 2015, Lindsay Robbins, like many of her fellow Canadians, was struggling with the turmoil of mental illness. The ups and downs of what she was going through was shaping her realities, and she longed for structure. As luck would have it, that structure presented itself to her in the form of gardening. And through gardening, Lindsay had an awakening that led her to create Produce for Heroes. Lindsay realized that our veterans were going through their own mental struggles, and through her own experience, she realized the power of community. By desiring to help the way that she had been helped, she has created a program that provides relief to veterans. Her food program, which aims to provide veterans and their families relief from the stresses of food insecurity and help alleviate the cost of living for those that have sacrificed so much for their country. Whether it's through directly contacting Produce for Heroes or through a friend's referral, all veterans and their families living in Canada are welcome. By shining a light on the struggle of veterans and their families, Lindsay is hoping to get her fellow Canadians to hop on board and support Produce for Heroes and our great veterans. If you or a veteran you know needs help, ProduceForHeroes.com is a great place to start.
This is Brian Boucher, the new CEO of Canuck Gold Corp. We have gold at 99% purity with discounts ranging from $100 up to $200 off the ounce. This is the right place to buy, from 2-gram cards to 400-ounce bricks. We have any quantity of gold you are looking for. We also sell by the ton, not like your ex-wife. Visit us today at canudgold.com, CANUND gold.com.
Yes, and you can follow Scott and Brian at canundgold.com and Lindsay at Produce for Heroes in my description. Just look at the sponsor heading, click on their links, and go from there. Anyway, carrying on with more of these updates too, Mr. Derek Sloan, former MP of the Conservative Caucus, has been kicked out of the PC party based on the $131 donation that he received in August 2020 prior to the leadership race from some frickin' white trash, white supremacist, Yahoo, douchebag, whatever. Now, what gets me is that the media got a hold of this. Apparently, Press for Progress had something to do with it. You know, that whole lefty, woke, fucking Press for Progress mandate that was brought to you by the Broadbent Institute. David, or was it Ed Broadbent? Yes, Ed Broadbent, former NDP leader who sat in the caucus for a very long time in Parliament. At the time, he was quite the decent leader when you think about it. Now it's all gone full fucking retard. Doesn't really matter who owns the Press Progress or not. They are basically a wokey, lefty BS news conglomerate. You walk this way and you talk this way, or else if we chastise you, you know how it goes. Yes, jawohl, this is what we do. You will like this and you will enjoy this. Yeah, basically they got the information. So whether they got the information from someone inside of the PC party or some other source, we don't know. Needless to say, Rebel Media did a pretty good story on it. They had an interview with Mr. Sloan. And I'd like to remind my listeners, too, that Mr. Derek Sloan is not a racist, regardless if I agree with him or not. You know, there are some points that he's made in his campaign that I disagree with, right? But I'm not a conservative either. You know, I have conservative leanings. I have liberal leanings, classical liberal leanings. But my base is basically liberty for all. But to make a long story short, he was unfairly just kicked out of the caucus in the name of the woke politics. And Mr. O'Toole, shame on you, Buckeye. Really. Yeah, for going with the woke mentality, joining the cancer culture, and taking your brand and turning it into a real shit show. And of course, Mr. Potato Leader was so excited and happy with Mr. O'Toole's decision. Really? So if you're so happy with someone else's decision, why the hell do you not answer the questions that every opposition has given you, Mr. Potato Head? How many other questions have you failed to answer? I'll wait. Speaks for itself. Yes, I know, they're just little sounds on my new soundboard here. But anyhow, it speaks for itself, right? So what are my suggestions for this dilemma? The updates on Mr. Sloan's dismissal, the updates on the Keystone, what's going to happen. What's going to happen to Canada now? How many more politicians are going to weigh in and say, it was a good thing to cancel it because of what? Because your lifestyle's not compromised? Like I've said numerous times and projected numerous times, ladies and gentlemen, there are a lot of people being backed into corners now, okay? All these mandates and restrictions in the name of the pandemic, businesses being closed, businesses being ticketed, fines being distributed like goddamn candy. And for what? For the greater good, for our personal safety? Oh, okay. Yeah, great. And then you're denying opportunities for the future based on more taxes, i.e. the second carbon tax, and possible raising of provincial sales taxes, just so more fucking politicians get their pockets lined in the name of what? See, what gets me with all these parties, I don't give a fuck if you're liberal, conservative, NDP, rhinoceros, green, libertarian alike, okay? There are a lot of these politicians that are still getting paid the big fucking bucks to tell me and you what to do, okay? Their jobs are secure. Their financial portfolios are secure too. They don't have to worry about tomorrow because everything they have right now has been looked after to them other than having their own asses wiped for them. And yet people like me, like you, like our neighbors, like our friends, a lot of our family members, and people we've grown up with are struggling every fucking day to try to make way. Whether you have a CERB payment or a CEBA payment, whether you have some kind of handout or a pension like myself, okay? We still have to make do with what we got. And I'm so sick and tired of this. Canada is one of the best fucking democracies on the planet, especially when it comes to prosperity and growth. And yet that prosperity and growth is constantly being cut and kiboshed for the sake of safety and political bullshit. So if they do call an election, ladies and gentlemen, we have to think really, really hard. put our hearts in our chests, get them off our sleeves, and start using our fucking heads as the gods in the heavens, as we know it, have intended. Okay? We have to start thinking. Instead of this build back better bullshit, let's start thinking back on what's going to happen if we don't look to the future. Are we constantly going to sit and let these clowns make these decisions? Do we have to get violent like our friends in the States have had to? Right? Everybody's making such a big deal when you watch the inauguration, and they're talking about, oh, it was so peaceful and all this. Of course it was peaceful. You had 25,000 fucking armed troops there. Yes, it's going to be peaceful. And what gets me is the contradiction about how everyone was so upset and screaming to the heavens when Donald Trump got elected. Now, I disagree with some of Donald Trump's fucking tactics. Honestly, folks, he was a bit of a goof when it came to some of his tweets. But he didn't start any fucking foreign wars. He put money back into the taxpayers' pockets. He created jobs, and he never promoted anything racial. I challenge anyone out there to hand me a speech that he wrote, that he said publicly, to promote a racial divide. Anyone, any of my American listeners out there, anyone who is leaning towards the Democratic side of things or who is anti-Trump or whatever, okay? That's what happens when you elect a big businessman to run a country. He was a business leader, okay? And you don't learn the pros and cons of a business the first time you're out. That's basic high school marketing to teach you that shit, right? Now, I'm not backing him up 100%, but there was a lot of shady deals going on behind closed doors in the name of his party and the Democrats and other people who were just against what he stood for, okay? And what gets me is how many so-called Hollywood elites out there, too, especially the actors that make anywhere from $15 million to $20 million a fucking picture. And yet they're worried about fairness and equality. Interesting. If you believe in fairness and equality, why don't you set up a fucking actors union fund to help up-and-coming actors get their work out there too? But that's another story. I'll save that for another time. But think about it, folks. Okay? And now they make the big deal about Miss Harris being of this race. Well, let's look at her merits. Let's stop worrying about her race and her gender. Let's worry about her merits. Is that not what professionalism is supposed to be about? You know, a well-educated individual, all of a sudden now she's the vice president of the United States. Well, good for her. Really, good for her. But who cares what her background is? Who really gives a shit? Why is that always such an issue today? Still, you know, 21 years into the 21st century, and still we have to worry about how things look and how they look here and how they look there. How about how they are? Okay? So let's see, to my American listeners out there and to the Canadians out there, right, that constantly watch the mainstream media to find fiscal fucking updates on the American way of life when we should be worrying about ours. So let's look at the first 100 days to see how these individuals are going to run probably the greatest experiment that ever happened in our social lives as we see it. Okay? How about we take a look at what's going to happen? Is Mr. Biden going to do the right thing and maybe turn coat and promote Keystone XL? Or is he going to be part of the Make Way Foundation and other Democrat conglomerates that have had their hands in Canadian resources for the better part of 50 fucking years, and then turn around and dictate to us what we're going to have to do with them? And of course, our elected officials are going to sit there and put on their knee pads and go, yes, sir, no, sir. May I have another, sir? Right? Think about that, folks. What else can we do to make it better? Right? I don't buy this build back better bullshit. That's too much of a globalist idea. As much as I like to get along with other countries, okay, I want to worry about Canada. Why? Because Canada is my home and native land. Right? I want to worry about Canada because I live here. I fought for this country. Okay? I didn't fight for an idea. I didn't fight for a handful of politicians. I fought for Canada. And I will keep fighting for Canada. I don't believe in going overseas to kick ass and take names anymore. I don't believe in going here and conquering this and conquering that. I believe in defending your home. I believe in fundamental fucking individual rights. I also believe in human rights. I believe in defending your life, your property, self-defense. I believe in a fair tax system and taxation with representation, not just fucking hearsay and ideologue bullshit because some Scandinavian girl with pigtails has Asperger's. Come on, folks, we're better than that. I like to think we are. I like to think we conquered the racial divide that happened in the 1950s and 60s. But no, it's constantly being brought up and thrown into our faces. And identity politics, too. Oh, we have to have so many of this and so many of that. Why don't we have qualified people calling the shots anymore? Right? No, because it has to look like something special. Yay! It's like a big coloring book. Fuck the coloring books. Let's get back to the encyclopedias. Let's get back to the actual dialogue where we used to, back in high school, where you have to study history. You actually look at more than one or two paragraphs. You actually look at chapter upon chapter and a period of years that you're covering. Why can't we get back to those basics again? Is understanding our history too goddamn divisive, too aggressive? And yet you'll promote this aggressive, naked bullshit when it comes to fucking gender and social and spectrum? What a fucking joke. Think about it, folks. We're going to have to tweak every part of our system. Tweak it to a point where we can sit and live with civility. Okay? And have the ability again to create our own comfort. Have the ability to move around again without worrying about someone getting a ticket for not doing this or a ticket for not doing that. Okay? Like I said in my last episode too, to some of these police officers and bylaws officers, do you not question the ethics of some of your actions? I really suggest you should take 15 to 20 minutes of your busy lives and sit and think about what you're being told to do. Okay? Fuck your quotas. Who gives a care what your district chief or your sergeant says? Listen to what your heart and your head is going to say. What is going to happen? How is society going to benefit? How am I protecting people if I hand this ticket out to this individual who claims to be on a fixed income or who claims to not have a job? They're no longer claims. It's a fucking reality, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of people losing work. A lot of people have worked to make businesses what they are, and now they're gone because in the name of the fucking beer bug. And now what? Huh? What's going to happen now? Are certain fucking people of the so-called new moral majority going to be up in arms if there's violence? Like Joe Biden won the election. He had his inauguration yesterday, and yet there are still fucking Antifa fuckheads smashing up property in Seattle. So what's that tell you? Huh? How many of these little Antifa fucking creeps in the woodwork are going to be planning something devastating too, rather than just smashing a few fucking windows in coffee shops and other pieces of property? Right? Look at the contrast we've been told to believe in the past year, ever since Mr. Floyd was killed. All these riots and property damage and fires and looting, and they were called protests. And yet compared to what happened to Capitol Hill 3 weeks ago, right? They're calling it, a big devastation, a big slap in democracy. Well, what do you think 2020 was? You're worried about one day in Capitol Hill in the United States, and yet you failed to realize what the rest of 2020 was? Really? Give your head a shake and smoke a joint. Think about that again. And while you're doing that, have a glass of wine, put on Rush 2112 to remember Neil Peart. Right? But then give your head a shake too. What's going on, folks? What big pictures are we not being told again? Is this part of the whole reset that they keep talking about? Is this part of the whole takeover? Right? See, I don't give a fuck what the Communist Party of China does, really. I really don't care. What I care about are the Chinese people that want freedom. I care about people in Taiwan. I care about Chinese Canadians, especially Chinese Canadians here that are being harassed by ex-members or infiltrators of the CCP. So, we don't talk about that, do we? No, of course not. I actually had an email from an individual there about 3 months ago who didn't want to give me his name because he was afraid. And he told me a great story about how he had a few phone calls and some messages put on his windshield from so-called concerned communists or concerned individuals, worrying about what he was saying to strangers and worrying about what he was doing with his time. And yet here's a man that's lived in Canada for the better part of 30 fucking years, and he's being watched. Something in perspective, folks. Anyway, tell me what you think. CrustyBCanuck67@gmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and other social media platforms that have yet to be censored or demonetized by the powers that be. Even in my description, I enclose my writing address. So please, if you want to write me a letter, send me a card, send me some swagger, send me some free stuff. By all means, I encourage it. We all like to get mail that differentiates from government bills and other fucking collectors alike. Please, don't hesitate. Please use it to the best of your ability. Anyway, moving on again, more of the updates. Well, so I hope Mr. Sloan is successful. I hope some other independent parties out there reach out to him and try to give him a platform, because as far as I'm concerned, and after reading his bio, I think he's earned it, regardless if you agree with it or not. You know, to be chastised by your own party like that, like how Mr. O'Toole has done, like, fucking shame on you, sir. Like, I remember actually listening to your fucking town hall when you're talking about standing up for transparency and honor and honesty and integrity. And I can't believe that you were an ex-fucking military officer too, sir. Right? I don't give a fuck if you spent 9 years or 10 years in the fucking service. You as an officer and as a member of the Canadian Forces should have a little more integrity and a little more foundation based in your decisions. But no, let's hop on the virtual fucking train of let's be this and let's be that and kumbaya, and we'll toe the fucking party line. Well, sir, you're disingenuous. So you just lost my respect right there. Okay? When you sit there and try to fucking witch hunt members of your own party, when you had more than enough opportunity to investigate what really happened, and then maybe pose the question in Parliament, let's take a look at other donators and other special interests, regardless if this piece of shit was racist or not. Ooh, $131 from a racist. Ooh, fuck. Well, call the riot squad. I wonder how many bigots and racists gave into the Liberal Party. How many bigots and racists gave into the NDP and the Greens alike? All in the name of the greater good, or the environment, or the Feelings Brigade. Something to think about. Anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Crusty Canuck on this 21st of January, 2021. Oh, a little heated and emotional. But if you like what you hear and see, please click, comment, like, share, and subscribe. Give me a thumbs up on the YouTube. And please comment on my Podbean page too. And please, if you feel like donating, please donate. And for my diehard fans out there, I am now an actual panel guest on the Adam Daniel Mazet podcast, the Hidden Gem podcast. He usually goes on the air on his live stream feed at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So to my friends out here in the West, if you want to catch me and hear what I have to say, a part of the panel discussion, please pay attention to the Hidden Gem podcast by Adam Daniel Mazet. Like I say, I'm a panel guest there on a regular basis now, so you can see me there. And in the next week, I will have another live stream up too. So my fans and listeners alike, you can see my ugly mug on my live stream feed too. So pay attention to my community page and keep that in mind. Updates will be on my Facebook and my YouTube respectively. So pay attention to those pages. Like I say, ladies and gentlemen, 21st January, 2021, I have been Crusty Canuck. And we can do better. Honestly. I don't buy this Build Back Better bullshit, this Triple B. Every time I see Triple B, I used to think Better Business Bureau, but no. It's a joke. We can do things better on our own terms, without regulations and without people telling us where to spend our money and where to wipe our asses and what have you. We can do better on our own accord, by our own means, by our own rules, with peace, freedom, and security. Like I say, look after your friends and your loved ones. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, humanity and merit wins the day. And I'll see you next time. Take care.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. Yes, sir. There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are.